Hi guys! Hang on one second. We can't start like this. Hold on a second. This is gonna be wacky. Here we go.
Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, your paranormal portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together.
Hi guys. Okay, I don't know if it's Mercury's in retrograde or if it's out of metro or whatever's going on. Tech problems like crazy tonight. So, this was the issue. We had Mr. Peter Coe on coming on to talk about tarot and energy and past life regression and things like that. Wonderful, wonderful guy. And okay, great, Laura. If you're listening to me, great. Give it a whirl. Let's see what happens. So, anyway, we've been for the last, 15, 20 minutes trying to back and forth, and he can't hear me. He can see me. He can talk to me on the phone. See? Okay, Jackie's saying yes, it is. So, he can see me fine, and I can hear him wonderful, but he can't hear me. And I'm typing to him, look at your phone. Look at your phone. And I'm typing him, messages. So anyway, I'm trying to get a couple of people to jump in here, and I thought, why not? So anyway, hello. Welcome to Sunday. This is a perfect thing about energy right now because, look what it just did. And anything live, this can happen. I've not ever had a problem where somebody, so he's in his settings, he's changing that from, how it could be headset, speaker, change your new thing, set up in Chrome, go follow it this way. So it's going to be, you got me. So, because he's just like, we'll try this again another time. He, bless his heart. So anyway, energy. We were going to talk about energy tonight, and I know you don't want to just see my face, so I'm trying to get a couple of people to jump in. I won't tell you who it is. That way it'll be a surprise, and it's also nice. And if you're out there and you're having Wi-Fi problems, just give it a try. See if it'll come through. You can come in for a few minutes, tell a story, a ghost story. Hey, T-Rex. But for now, I'm going to say hi to everybody that's here. Hello. I hope everybody had a great week. That week went by so fast. And, it just, when I got off yesterday, and I'm thinking last night, I was like, okay, now I can chill. We had, as you know, I do floral design right now, and I make jewelry, and I do dream catchers, and I don't know. I wonder if you guys would like to see some of them. I know we're going to have all kind of issues, maybe buying things and stuff. I make great dream catchers. I haven't been doing a lot of shows because everything's got closed down, and I had a couple of storefronts opened up, and I shut those down. But I make beautiful gemstone jewelry and dream catchers, and I make them that light up, and I make the kind that you can sit under, that you could put over a chair and do meditation and stuff. So we might look at that, coming through the holidays. I might bring one out or something and show you what I make. But a lot of it's on my Facebook. A lot of you guys don't do Facebook anymore. That's cool. So anyway, hello to everybody. I see Patriot 174. Anon. I got T-Rex. Hi, Pam Smith. How you doing? Sue, honey, how you doing, baby? She can tell you about tech issues. They do a fantastic show called At End at Week's End News on D Live. Look it up, and they do the whole week of news, truthfully, with reverence, like journalists do, with facts to back up their stories, and that's refreshing, right? The truth. So that's Pseudonym and Kia, Sparky. They do a great show, like I said, at Week's End News on D Live. We have the wonderful Jackie Canella. How you doing? We have Donnie Cho. We have Are You Kidding Me? How you doing? Who else popped in here? I think I missed a couple. There's Roseworthy. Hi, hon. Laura, of course, is here. Okay, I think I caught everybody. So here I am, Sans guest. So Peter Coe is absolutely wonderful tarot card reader and Reiki, energy, the whole shebang. Everything goes with it. Hey, Andrew, how you doing, hon? And, oh, Ruck Rabbit. Oh, great. How you doing? Nice to have you in here. So anyway, that's what happened. So now you got me. And I just thought I'd come on here and talk a little bit about what's going on tomorrow. We got Steve and Bigfoot and on Connor. And we're going to talk a little bit about portals and time slips and interdimensional and Bigfoot and things like that, possibilities because of the book. And the chapter, we're doing chapter 5, part 5 tomorrow. And part 5 is called On Sacred Soil. So we'll be doing that after the Monday Madness tomorrow with Steve. So hang on one second. Let me see if I've got any response. Let's see if we got a couple people. Okay. And no prob. Hang on one second here, guys. Hate to be rude. Hang on one second. I'm getting all kinds of funny responses here. I'm sorry. They're all like, I need to do my hair. I need to... No, you don't need to do your hair. Just pop in. Put the little icon in front of you. Tell me a ghost story. Who wants to come on? Who has a ghost story here that they could pop in? If I sent you a link in... I guess you would have to be a messenger or I'd have to have your email. Because I can do it that way. But... anyhow, I just thought I'd give it a whirl and see what happens. Hang on one second. We got somebody else here. Wish I had some hold music. See, because I wonder if he would come. Let's see. Hang on one second. So who wants to come in and tell a ghost story? If you are on, let's see, I can send it in a Gmail. And I have Messenger. I can send it right now without losing the show while it's on broadcast. So I have to be able to do it that way. That's why I'm saying those two things. Messenger and email. But anyway, energy. It's nuts, man. I mean, if you think about it, I just did a show, just came fresh off a show with Jim and Dave. We're doing KSPS, that's Keystone State Paranormal Society. And they have one called Doorway to the Dead. And we were talking about energy connections. And they also have the Hoover House in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. And Sue's going, let's hear him, y'all. Absolutely. You know what I could do? I could show you. Does anybody want to see a bacon video? I bet I can come up with something like that. Hold on, let me see something. Because tomorrow night, we are going to have all our treats. Laura has been doing great. Oh, here we go. It just started, sorry. Woo! Rock Rabbit says meat candy. Yes. Everybody's got their eyes. Bacon. Everybody loves it. So, tomorrow I'm going to be making the bacon caramel popcorn. I hope you guys will too. Laura's been shooting me recipes, and a couple other people have been shooting recipes in the comments and the YouTube videos. And, Patriot said he would join me, but his laptop is upgrading at the moment. Let me know, Patriot, if that comes through. Like I said, you can always just call in on your phone or, and put the icon up if you don't want to be on video. Just put your little... whatever that they call it. What do the cool kids call it these days? The picture that's not your face, but it's something that you picked out. So, I don't know. We could do that. Anybody else wants to pop in? We can tell some ghost stories. Zappoli's. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gosh. I love Zappoli's. We used to go to the best little place. It was called... Farmers, it was a flea market. It was like one of these great big flea markets, and it was just like his parking lot, with a building in the center, and the table. Some of the permanent people were inside tables, and then you have all the outside tables, like a yard sale outside the scraping thing. And my mom would take me, loved it, because you could always get something cheap, and you could always look through the junk, and I love looking at, antiques and, just junk, and it would be that kind of place where you could go buy a whole box of junk for $5, and, oh, what'd you get, I got, all this stuff, but the fun was in the search and walking around and spending time, and we'd always get the Zappoli's in a brown paper bag, and I'd watch them take them out of the hot grease and roll them around. They put them in this big bag, and they put powdered sugar, and they'd shake up the bag, and you could see the grease coming through the bag. It was great. It was great. What was more exciting than eating greasy food when you were a kid that you shouldn't be eating, Andrew says, ooh, the original Night of the Living Dead is on. What was that? 1958? Oh my goodness, yeah. Man, that was there was a lot in that, if you think about it for the time. You know what I mean? That was just something. Night of the Living Dead. Even black and white. And then he had Psycho in black and white. They used Hershey syrup because it was the most like blood for the that famous stabbing scene in the bathtub and stuff. That's crazy, right? But I don't think anything is like some of those old movies. We shared some a couple weeks ago, and I've had people went and watched them afterwards. The Time of Their Lives with Abbott and Costello, they loved it. Couldn't stop watching once they got it started, and they're laughing right out the gate. So you're laughing and you're watching a ghost movie instead of, all the blood and guts and everything. So, but anyway... Zappoli's and blood and guts, I guess. I don't know. That's what we're talking about so far. Has anybody got any questions, or anybody got, while we're waiting, there's a couple people that are working on their computers, trying to get the routers going, trying to follow the link in that I sent to. We'll see who pops up. If the universe wants to pick out who we have on tonight, we're just going to do it. If there's anybody else that wants one, I can probably send the link in Discord if you want to pop on, or I can just send it in email, whatever you want. But we can try that and see what happens. Wait a minute. Somebody's saying something here. Okay. So we'll see. Either way, what do you guys want to talk about? Does anybody have a subject in the paranormal, supernatural? If I don't know anything about it, I'll tell you. Straight up. I really wanted to talk about past life regression. Is there anybody interested in that? I know it's not a ghost story, but it's kind of like a ghost story, almost in reverse. If you think about it. Okay. All right, there's a young boy. I can't remember his name. I believe he was around maybe 3 or 4. Real young. And he's having all these dreams, of course, that he's burning up. He can't get out. He's, worried about his men, behind him. All this different stuff, right? It goes on, goes on, goes on. He's saying a name. He's describing the aircraft that he supposedly remembers flying. It was in World War II. Until the point of the research of the parents. And it was the mom and then the dad got involved too. And they're starting to look up all of this information. And they find the flight. They find the name of the guy. He did go down in a ball of fire into the Pacific, I believe. And everything matched up. And I mean, they even went to the part of taking the young man, now he's like 9, 10, somewhere around in there. Anybody else see this? I can't remember what past life documentary it was on, but I found it amazing. To the point of the mom and dad took the young boy to the place the plane went down, right? I mean, so he could revisit it, took him out on the boat, set this whole thing up. He had flowers and everything, and in a little wrap in his little hands. It was adorable. And when they got out to about where they thought the aircraft went down in World War II, he threw the flowers in the ocean and said goodbye to his past life. And he kind of let it all go, and he became the person, you know, that he was meant to be on this side of it, but he kind of let it go. So it was a trip. Jackie's saying something here. Hold on one second. Oh yes, past life regression. Dr. Brian Weiss is a leader in the past life regression therapy. Yes, I recognize the name. I can't place the face, but I do recognize the name. There was a couple of shows on that I kind of liked, but they didn't have a very long shelf life. It was like, did a couple of episodes and then stopped. I don't know what was going on with that. Maybe it was creepy to watch people, you know, laying on a couch and crying and saying that they're, you know, some young slave boy or something running away from the Egyptians, you know, 2,000 years ago. I can see my feet, and it's, you know, it's hot, and they're close to, you know, that's kind of, it's kind of creepy. But is it not a ghost story in reverse? Think about it, right? Seriously, everybody in this chat, you guys are so smart. Think about that. Like, okay, well, your soul lived before, comes through your body. Now you're walking around this earth in this body. But, you know, what does that do to the person that you were? I mean, do you see what I'm saying? It's kind of like I don't know. How do you guys feel about that, chat? Do you think that... I believe, like, say you have a bucket of water and you take a handful of that water out, right? And you move it. It's still a part of that water. Well, if the soul is reincarnating and passing away, crossing over, reconnecting, whatever we do, we cross over, the next afterlife, our energy, right, connects back into those memories. Do we get all of those memories back, like all of our past lives together? I think we do. You know, from what I've heard to this point, right now in my search, that seems to be the case. Because then we go through that life and we go over everything, right? Like, you know, a lot of people that have had NDEs have told us, right? And they say that you judge yourself. I could have done that better. That was kind of crappy. I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have said something nicer. You know, boy, that was really big of me. I forgot I did that. That was really cool. I mean, there's good stuff too, right? I mean, unless you've been a jerk all your life, you got no good stuff. Come on. You know how bad you'd have to be to not have any good stuff? You know? But I think you can remember your past lives, because I've heard from so many mediums that the animals you've had in your past life remember you. Like maybe the souls of most of the humans that you've known in this life, you've known in a past life, like soul groups, right? You know, like one time you're the mom, next time, you know, maybe you're the kid or the aunt or the grandmother or the person down the road, or, you know, the love interest or whatever. Everybody's... So what does that mean? You know, we forget. Our soul comes through. Supposedly we forget as we're born. We come into this life. Our soul, you know, chose to come through this life and have another journey, another, you know, whack at it, another, however you want to put it. Here I come in on this vibration. Now I'm going to see if I can go higher or lower. I guess sometimes you don't always go higher. Sometimes you might go lower, right? And very disappointed in yourself. Maybe that's what a lot of, maybe, I don't know. Can we carry emotions from past lives? What do you guys think? You know, can we carry emotions from past lives? What do you guys think? You know, like say a 1 for yes, 2 for no. Hi, Aunt Edna. How you doing? This is a good one, Aunt Edna. What do you think? Can we carry emotions from past lives? What do I mean by that? Okay. What if we were really on the other side? Let's just say all this theory is true, okay? That we're really excited on the other side because we know, right? We know what we've been through. We're clicking it. It's like, woo, that was a toughie. Glad to be back. That was rough. I don't want to reincarnate back to Earth anytime soon because that's like, ooh, a living hell, right? And then you all have a nice laugh with the other souls and maybe you go to the bar and have a cold beer and talk about it. Because why wouldn't you, right? Why wouldn't you? Or a cup of coffee. You know, I don't know if they let beer in heaven, but I think a lot of this chat would agree with me. What would heaven be without a cold beer? Just saying. So, that being said, you go over there and you're all happy again and you sit down and you have a chat with everybody. Oh, here's somebody. Oh, this is great. Okay, so let me finish this thought real quick. Now I'll bring in our surprise guest. Surprise! So, what is that? So, if we can carry over, say we wanted to come into this life and get it right or do it better or get to a higher vibration, but we're doing really lousy, would we be depressed and disappointed at ourselves on the other side of how crappy we're doing now, and maybe that's what causes depression? Or, I don't know. Let's kick that off. Let's talk to our surprise guest and see what they think. Let's bring them on in. Who's our surprise guest? And... Woo! Hey, everybody. It's Laura, everybody. Say hi to chat.
Hello, chat.
Can you move a little closer to your camera, just a titch?
Am I too dark?
No, you're pixelated.
Oh.
You're really pixelated, but that's okay. Oh, now you're not. I think your camera's just trying to find... Oh, that's perfect. Look how beautiful. Okay, so everybody in chat, did you catch any of that little chitty chat ramble I had?
Not really.
Okay. So I'll do it again. I'll do it again just for you.
I couldn't find my headphones, and they were still up in my room. Oh, God
bless you.
Yeah,
they're all saying hi. Everybody's hi, Laura. Wave to chat. They love you. Okay.
I gotta get the chat up.
So you work on that. You can probably see it and pull it up, or maybe you can. I don't know how you see it on your side. But anyway, I was thinking, if you're reincarnated, right? Let's just assume, for just, shits and giggles. Let's just assume we're born and our soul comes in, and we've chosen on the other side in the soul group I'm going to go back down there and I'm going to give her another whack and I'm going to see how good I can do. And I could do this better and, give me some of this and some of that because I really want to learn and I've got this, right? Mm-hmm. And then somehow along the way, our soul memory remembers how good we thought we were going to do, but we're really doing crappy, and maybe that's what causes depression or causes...
Oh.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Trippy, right? Because if you can have a scar or a headache, like say you got shot in the head and died, which is a terrible thought. Nobody wants that. It's a terrible thing to bring up, but just for conversation purposes. Say, and you get migraines all the time in this life. Well, that's that's a genetic memory, yeah?
Yeah. No, okay. Definitely. I could see that.
I don't know the scientific term for it, but obviously it happens. We've seen many times about, people like got shot in the stomach and have a scar or a birthmark.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff. That really is.
Have you heard any, like reincarnation, any kind of stories like that made you think about reincarnation, or thinking about a possibility of reincarnation? We're all pretty open-minded here. I think everybody thinks there's a possibility a lot of things happen. But what do you think?
I believe in it. I don't know. I've listened to stuff, I think, I don't know if it was Astonishing Legends or what, but I know it's been, over a year since I've heard a story like that. But they did stuff where there's, kids that remember being, like World War II pilots, and then there's this one kid that was having a fit and crying because they missed their old family, and I've heard those stories.
Yes.
And they know things that they shouldn't know.
Right. addresses, homes, names of people who died, like my name was this and that, and I had I was 23 and my husband died in a thing, and then they look back and it happens. I mean, what do people need, right?
Yeah.
I mean, or is it some kind of reverse? I was even saying the possibility of it's almost like a reverse haunting. I mean, okay, it's a wild concept, but think about it. If we were a soul before we were born, obviously we had a life, probably many lives, many times. Just imagine.
Yep.
And then we choose, for whatever reason, to go back because we're feeling, bouncy that day, and we think we're, it's good. Let me do it again. Let me give it a whirl, because it's probably like a blink in the eye of time. If you think about it. About it. So, and now we're born, but we're still connected to that past life and that soul and the memories and feelings of that soul and the soul before. It's the same soul.
Yeah.
It's just different fragments of it. You know what I mean? Different personalities, all, I guess, and then it goes back and it groups all together, and all that wisdom and all that knowledge and all those feelings and stuff are all one big, so it's smarter as a big soul, I guess. But we've broke off from that and become in, so it's almost like we're haunting ourselves.
That makes sense, yeah.
How crazy is that, though? What a concept to think like that, though.
I don't always like to think about that stuff because it really trips me out. It really does. It's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah,
weird.
That is weird, because look, if we've got, if we go back and we break it up again, if you got shot in the head, you might have migraines. Well, that's a past life memory. That's something you brought from other lives, okay? So you might bring the disappointment. You might bring other things that our subconscious is picking up on. Wow. Well, of course it would have to be true, because when you go to past life regression and they say, let's find the root of the problem.
Yeah. And
once they remember it, maybe some of those pains ease up and stuff. We've all heard those stories, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could be the same as like going to therapy today, like you go, you work out your problems and they get released and you feel better. It's kind of like the same thing almost.
Yeah, but from a past life. Like I was telling the story real quick about the little boy who he obviously remembered dying in a World War II plane, right? Yep. And he the whole spiel, the whole story. He remembered the name and where it went down, and I'm burning, and I can't breathe, and the parents supported it, which is so important. So important. Oh, yeah. Not to shut these kids down, I believe.
I think so, too.
They were wonderful about it. They did the research, and to the point of years later, they finally took the little boy to where the plane actually went down, and he gave the flowers. He said goodbye. He was good. He was good to go.
Yeah. Sometimes
it seems to be that simple, just having closure, right? And being able to put that intent out there. And if you think about it, Laura, that's a lot of things are like that. Haunted houses, they say, talk to the spirit, tell them this is your intent. Tell them this is your house. You can't, I hate that, though, because I like to figure out why they're there. Yeah. But if it's one of those where you don't feel like digging around in it, get out, and that's done. But right? Seems to be intent and will. So why do you think it's so hard for people while they're living through their day to go, it's not my intent to have this happen right now. It's not my intent for me to get involved in this argument at work. I can walk away. Yeah. Right? We can't control other people. We can only control how we react to it. Yeah. So I think combined with what we were talking not too long ago, I mean, what was it, Wednesday we had Big Bill on?
Yes.
He was fabulous.
Oh, he was so good.
He's such a dear man. He's such a dear man.
Appreciated that so much.
Oh, he's such a dear man. And he wanted to go really deep, and I said, Bill, I mean, I want my chat to get to know you and get to what I mean, because he can, he's
I think a lot of people in here would have been able to handle it, though, because we all seem to be on the same wavelength and same thought pattern.
It's not just fighting the demons, you know, in the deep darks, you know, it's what's going on in the world and stuff right now too, you know, and it's like, well, basically what I'm trying to do is get people out of that for a little while. So we don't want to just bombard people down. I said, because I've got people in here that are researchers that are, and all kinds, from every, you know, part of the globe, you know, and everybody's looking at this different. What we're really looking at is, how am I going to be? How's my family going to be? How are we all going to be? And I think looking back on stuff like past life regression, which is what I was kind of talking to Peter Coe about. He's also a tarot card reader, very good, 40 years of this, you know, he's a good guy. And energy and stuff. Well, the same thing happens to him and many mediums who sit down in front. We all sit down with a question. We all have a question like, can you hear me?
I got my laptop's new and I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Don't touch
and I have
anything.
This, like, I
touch anything.
I did, and I put it on mute. Sorry.
It's okay. I did it the other night and had to restart with poor Anna because, I mean, my mouse did something and I tried to stop it, and all of a sudden all I could see was one big eye, and it was her eye. I couldn't see anything else. It went to like 5,000 times. I don't know. And I'm just looking at her one eye, and I'm trying not to laugh, and it's just this one great big, it was a beautiful eye, but it was just huge. It was kind of creepy. But I couldn't do anything. It was like I have to stop it and start all over again. My laptop's haunted. But yeah, see, that's the thing I'm thinking about it, though. I mean, all connected in with spiritual warfare and everything else. I mean, I think it could ease us up to know, not that just that we're energy and we're kind of in control of what we do. I mean, we're not able to control everything around us, but how we react to it, yeah? And that's a way of evolving up and not just acting, you know what I mean? Just helter-skelter. You know, just being the calm in the storm kind of thing, you know?
Because that's not going to, I mean, you could flip out and yell and curse and post things on Facebook, and at the end of the day, you're not doing anything positive. You're not contributing to anything.
And again, what Bill said, chat, remember this, and he said it to me again, right, you know, the next day when I spoke to him. He said, energy, remind everybody energy. Do you remember a couple of years ago, they were actually trying to put like live exorcisms on the TV?
No.
Okay. Then this is what they said. So let's just assume what they said was true. Okay, and no offense to the people in it, because I know some of the people that were in the show, and no offense to anybody like that, but first of all, is that really a good idea?
No, absolutely not.
Because now you've got this thing released, and it's bing bang booming around, trying to find an outlet and an easy hit, you know, an easy thing to jump into. And man, if you're riding the airwaves, what a crazy thing to do.
Yeah.
What an irresponsibly nutso thing to do.
I agree.
And then you've got all these people turning on the TV going, oh, look, Marvin, isn't this wonderful? Get the popcorn. They're going to pull demons out of the lady on TV. Hurry up, get the popcorn. Get in here. Can you see it? And the next thing you know, Marvin's got, you know, third level demons just jumping in him. And the next thing he knows, he's got Marge in the popcorn bowl up against the wall, just, you know, God knows what. But I'm just saying, this is how...
No, it's so true.
But it's so true. It's so real life true. I'll give you an example, Laura. I used to call into this one show. This was years ago. I don't know, 9-10 years ago. And this guy was just getting started, and all he knew is he was a radio host, and once a year he used to do, during Halloween, he loved Art Bell.
Okay.
And who didn't, you know? And so he took that ghost to ghost on, you know, Halloween, and did it for his radio show, and he did listener call-ins, and they told ghost stories. It's like, hello, tell me your ghost story, you know.
Yeah.
So he turned that into a podcast. Hello, Divine Diamond. Hi, sweetie. How you doing? And Todd Brown. I didn't say hi to you, sweetie. How you doing? So anyhow, he decides to do a podcast. He's just getting started. And he had a question. I can't remember what. I think it was about Kentucky Fried Chickens. Now, I'll tell the story because it's funny. But there's also a little... a lesson in there too, okay? Somebody called in and said, if animal spirits have a soul, And if animal spirit's soul crosses over, like we do, why isn't Kentucky Fried Chicken haunted with chickens?
Oh my goodness.
So he's asking for people like, okay, well, I don't know if, because he didn't know how to, which way he even felt about it. He never thought about it before, really. And so I called in, I started talking to him, and my answer was simple, that if you have a love connection with anything, it's the love energy that they ride back and forth on. It's that connection. If not, they just go and they do their next thing. That's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Do you too? You too, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So I said, basically, according to your question, then, okay, so if the headline cook, for any reason, ever had, a live chicken at the Kentucky Fried, then that chicken might come back and visit that, because you had a connection for whatever reason. I don't think there's a stop thing there. I think if it's a rabbit or a turtle or we just got done talking about on another show about ghost horses that were all over Gettysburg and how to cross them.
Really?
Yeah, just nice conversation. They asked me what to do, and I'm like, what would you do if it was a live horse? You know what I mean? To calm them. Say you're in a pack of wild horses and they're stuck.
Talk to them calmly.
Yeah, you just calm down, be calm, I told him to get a blanket, get some oats, maybe some, some hay, whatever, horses at that time would be familiar with seeing. Apples, nice smell of apples, sit on a blanket and just, call in the energy, and see if you get that. Maybe do something, not a lot of equipment, maybe a nice small little recorder or something, just see if you get any, EVPs or something from it, or hear, audible sounds or whatever. But, just try it that way. But I think that's where we get stumbled on, is we start treating the dead like the dead weren't living at one point.
Yeah, I think that's a very key part of it, that you need to treat them with respect, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're in a different dimension, realm, whatever you want to call it, but they're still there. They're still living souls.
It's true. Let's see what Danny Chow says. I believe we are all just living in a video game. Every time we incarnate, it's our souls putting another quarter in arcade machine. You know what? That's as good a theory as any. But think about it. We don't know if we're in a simulation.
Oh, I hate that thought. I know Donnie. I went on a trip with the Confessionals podcast, Tony Merkel, and he went along, and I met him, and him and I became friends. And
Great.
I brought him into the chat and Steve's chat and stuff.
Oh, wonderful. Hey, Don.
He knows a lot. He knows a lot of stuff.
See, that's the thing, though, honey. It could be true. We don't know. It's all theory. Yeah, but it's all theory.
I block it out. I don't like to think, because that freaks me out. Yeah. I don't want to think about that at all.
Yeah. There's certain things I'm comfortable with where I'm like, okay, so even on, the high end, like when you start really getting into the real, I don't want to say so much theological, but, more where you're really spitballing, and you're saying, okay, well, even if we are, say maybe we're here, but we're also living in a parallel universe.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And there's another you doing other things that you would do in another way. That's possible. I'm hearing a lot about fragmented souls. Okay?
What's that?
Well, I don't know. When I first heard it was in a conversation, I took it to believe that sometimes you leave a piece of yourself. Say you are a ghost, but you're not completely just the ghost. Part of you went over.
Ooh,
but
that's weird.
Both energies are living the same being, but living separate things. All right, an example. Now, chat, you might know this story if you've ever watched Dead Files, but I knew this story almost before Dead Files, except for the last little tick on the end. There is a restaurant in Asbury Park, New Jersey, not far from me. I'm on the shore, and it's, all of maybe 20 miles north of me, following the coast, right? So Asbury Park's got a lot of history. Everybody does. I don't know why people say that. Stupid. Every place has a lot of history. Anyway. I guess what we mean by that is we know a lot of the history. And it's very interesting because we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
So Asbury Park has got some, it's got some stuff going on. So anyway, downtown there's a restaurant, and every restaurant that opened it was usually closed within 6 months. Stone Pony is there, yes. And just for the chat, an added bonus, my husband is a keyboard player. He used to play for the, well, actually they're still together, for the Big Fat Pet Clams from Outer Space, which was one of the only two bands to play all 3 decades of CBGB's in New York. They were a punk band, but they're in their 60s. And they still play. They played with the Ramones, Dead Boys, Blondie, all these people coming out of CBGB's. But before that, my husband used to practice and play with bands, a place called the Upstage, right a block away from Stone Pony at Asbury Park. And that's where he first met Bruce Springsteen. And he actually played in Bruce Springsteen's band. And Bruce told him, don't worry, man. He was going to go to college, and he was, just going to go he only had a year to finish. He says, don't worry, man. Go to college. I won't make an album while you're gone. Greetings from Asbury Park. Thank you very much. while he was away in college. But it was a great album. It was meant to be. Danny Federici was an excellent keyboard player. But my husband did play with Bruce Springsteen. He actually spent the riots in '68 on the roof with Bruce Springsteen at a bouncer. That's another good story.
Oh my gosh.
But right down the block from that is that restaurant. Now, every restaurant that opened closed within 6 months. That's fast for a restaurant to just give up.
So I was thinking, I'll jump in then, but I was thinking exact same conversation, like thinking this idea the other day, and I'll tell you how I got to it, but
cool beans.
I don't want to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. So this is a little thing about one person's alive, but their ghost is still here. This is one an example of that. So anyway, it used to be an antique place about, I guess maybe going back 10 years or so, and a man owned it. And this other gentleman was homeless, gave him a job, and he's working in the cellar putting together some shelving, some wooden shelving, right? And he keeps feeling very aggressive and angry, and everything anybody's saying, he's just acting more like he's got rabies, like he's really acting very violent at his own confession. And one day this guy goes by, brushes up against him, and he beat him to death with a hammer. Okay, that's part one of the story. Of course, the guy dies. The guy goes to jail who beat with a hammer. He doesn't have a lot of memory of the actual incident. So here we've got kind of an Amityville horror thing going on, devil made me do it kind of thing. He's in jail. Can't tell you what happened. He's still in jail, not far from me right now. Enter Amy Allen goes in there. Nobody could figure this out. She goes in there, and she says, I've got the ghost of this guy. This is what happened. Tells the story just like I did. He beat somebody to death with a hammer, yada, yada. He was angry. He's, very violent. And she says, but wait a minute. This man's still alive. So they're seeing the ghost of this guy. They're getting all the real ghost stuff. Like, I see the manifestation. I see the banging, all the ghostly things. This guy's locked up in jail. Alive.
Oh, it wasn't the ghost of the dead guy.
No, it was the guy who did it. The dead guy moved on. So what caused that? Is it the guy that they're blaming all the time, that this is, that they're seeing this young man? They've described him. It matches perfect.
Wow.
But what caused him to do it? Well, there's an ancient evil entity in the basement that's feeding off of people that come in there, causing problems. Every owner of every restaurant they'll follow them home, they'll wreck their cars, they'll make things not work, and just keep making it till this feeding on this devastation and emotion, yada yada. But it's haunted by at least one person who's still alive and locked up in jail. Asbury Park, New Jersey. That's one. What do you got?
I don't even know.
Explain that one.
Exactly. I don't even know. My head just goes in like 3 different directions at once. I don't even know how to even grasp how that's possible, or like it's almost like it's like like an imprint of like such bad energy that's left
Fragmented
there
soul.
Yeah.
Fragmented soul. This is what when you ask me that, that's what my mind goes to. A fragmented soul.
Yeah.
There's another similar one with a very famous case that everybody's heard of, Lizzie Borden.
I just watched a YouTube video on that yesterday of the house. There was, I think it was Exploring with Josh or something. I don't normally watch him, but he was pretty good. And they were doing stuff where they were getting stuff on like a recorder and stuff and playing it back. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is that's another, okay, Donnie Chow's saying that Asbury Park episode was from season 1. There you go. And I actually talked to Amy about that, and I asked her, and I said, is that the only one? She says, no, she gets that all the time. She says it's not as much as some of the other things, but they don't put a lot on that show. I mean, Amy goes through a lot when she, everybody thinks, oh, she makes faces, man. I'm telling you, they just play on that because it's scary. You know how producers work and editors and stuff.
That's why I stay away from the TV shows. I like the podcasts more.
Oh, I do too. I do too. There's some I really like. I like watching hers. I don't like how they cut her up a lot, but she knows what she's doing. She's been doing it for seasons, But keep in mind, folks, she spends extra time that they don't show you. They can't put on there. She'll say, okay, get the black salt, do this. But they actually hook them up with people in the area. They spend time. They've got a whole team that does the aftercare of it.
That's important.
Yeah, they do that too. They can't.
Sure.
They can't recommend anybody, but they can say, okay, here's 2 that are kind of what I'm talking about. Get them. If you need any help, they have backup. Not a lot of shows do that. I can tell you the top 3 off the top of my head do not. I've had people have a lot of bad experiences with some of those. But Kim Russo's another one, if you've never watched The Haunting of.
I've seen those a couple years ago. I watched a few of those, and I did like those shows, and then they scared the crap out of me. I stopped watching them.
It was such a delight to see them do celebrity ghost stories and then have her producers will hook her up with a celebrity that's willing to come back and go to that spot and talk about why they were haunted. It's never what the person thought.
Really?
They connected into your energy for this. What were you going through in that time of your life? There's so much more depth and I think beauty to this whole paranormal thing that people are missing.
Oh, yeah.
So much, Laura. I mean, I know you see that too. Now, Laura is also starting a podcast, Midnight in the Mountains. Is that correct?
Yes.
So if you have ghost stories you want to send in, now how are you doing your format? Are you reading them? Do you want them to record? What do you want to do?
So actually, I'm working with Dylan from Creepy Unsolved. My podcast we're kind of coming together and like branding together under Creepy Unsolved Media, we're calling it. And my show is going to be on his podcast stream, but I'm going to have my own day that it's going to air.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And so he actually set up a phone line to leave a voicemail if you so choose.
Nice.
And it's on his website, creepyunsolved.com. And then mine, I'm collecting emails. I'm hoping, like, if somebody wants to come on and they have a lot of stuff I'm trying to do, like, hour episodes. If they have enough stuff, they can come on and we can just chat. But if you want to stay anonymous or if you just want to send it and I'll read the email, I have a friend who lives in Tennessee. I've known him a very long time, and he's a really good friend, and he's not much into the paranormal, but I thought and he's a good conversationalist. I think it would be neat to have him on and kind of get his reaction and his input and see if it's the same thing I'm thinking. Because sometimes, like when you're out, like I was just out last night creeping around in the woods and cemeteries in the dark and stuff. Yeah. And sometimes it's like when you know a backstory or something, it's hard to disconnect your brain from thinking like, oh, this is paranormal, So I think it would be neat to get my friend's thoughts of what he thinks on stuff. Oh, it totally.
Okay.
The thing just cut out for a second. But,
it's okay. You're back, baby. You're back. Yeah. I think that's a great idea. Listen, real quick, Todd Brown says, I used to watch a show called Haunted Evidence that was quite intriguing. I remember that show. They did a good job on Natalie Holloway case on site. Yes, they did. I remember that show, too. Is that the one, Todd, with... that had like usually 2 to 3 mediums that went around and went to the site and gave their feelings on it and everything else? That's the one I'm remembering. I could be remembering the wrong one. I thought that was Haunted Detectives, but I could be wrong about that too. Or maybe they were, sometimes they change the name. Out of Canada has some great ghost shows, but they changed the name when they resold them. So, you might know it as one, but the other. But, those things fascinate me. The Lizzie Borden one was also one. Now, that one was one that Amy went in and pulled up the fact that Lizzie Borden left 2 different fragmented souls there, but she also crossed over. One was the little girl that she became or protected her or whatever it was when she was being abused by her father, sexually, mentally, like when you break off, almost like a Sybil thing. You guys might be too young to remember Sybil, but Sybil was a movie that Sally Fields did back in the day, the 70s, and she was abused, and she had multiple personalities. So they all came out at different times for different reasons, right? So ghosts seem to be able to do that too. So if you are somebody who's very scrambled like that, like Lizzie Borden must have been, I don't know if she did it or not. I mean, I've got my maybe not. There was a lot of things going on there, plus a lot real tore up crime scene back in the day. Just like Vasilla Axe Murder House. I mean, there was people tramping in and out, hundreds of people, looky-loo,
Yeah.
But I don't know if she did it or not. I think if she did, she probably snapped.
Yeah.
Because of all the abuse and everything. There was stories there where her and her sister were lovers because that's the only love they knew.
Oh my gosh, I never heard any of that.
Yeah. That, of course, the father was very abusive and controlling, very tight with his money. He was one of the most prominent people in the town. But and they had to keep eating that nasty mutton stew. What is that even? It doesn't even sound good when it's fresh, but they kept it on the on the table in the dining room for days. That was the last meal they ate. Because he came home for lunch and he says, we're going to finish that stew from yesterday. It's perfectly good. Ugh. Cold mutton, nasty stew. That'd make you take an axe to somebody. I'm just saying. Golly. Somebody tried to make me eat that garbage, But yes, so she supposedly got a fragmented soul. The little girl is her, and the crazy scrambled woman that keeps crawling across the ceiling is Lizzie as well. And then the rest of her spirit went on. So we can leave things like that behind, huh?
That's like oh my gosh, and I can't think of the movie too, and I love the movie. It's not Harry Potter, but it's the one that's branched off of it, like the prequel before.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody's got to know. I can't think of what it's called, but there's a character in that movie where I think he's like a warlock or a witch, and he's so like he's abused physically and like mentally and just like so oppressed, and he eventually his like part of him just like splits off and breaks off and just creates this like crazy chaos, like just storm of a mess. Like it's like his soul's breaking off, and it's just like that.
Fragmented Soul. That's what when I first heard it was a medium, and she was telling me this grandiose story. It was beautiful, and I didn't want to break in, and then we switched and took a right turn somewhere, and I never got to go ask, what do you exactly mean by that? So I got Rob Guttrow coming on. I'm going to ask him if he's ever heard of it, because he's the scientist for NASA, for one thing.
Oh my God.
A weather person. Weather meteorologist, whatever they call themselves now. I don't know. But he's an extremely smart dude, scientist, either way. He's looking at things scientifically, but he's also one of the best mediums I've ever met in animal communities.
That's cool.
So cool. So he really takes a whole different,
Because that's two, like, opposite ends of what you would think people would be.
And the thing that makes him the maddest is when people say that animals don't have souls. Him and I went round and round with another bunch of panel, and I'm like, I tell you what, my cat, Mr. Dickens here, got more soul in his one paw than you got in your whole entire body in all your lives.
100%. I could not.
Yeah. Yeah.
If animals didn't have a soul and move on to heaven, it makes me sick to my stomach to think about that. I can't. No.
No? Guess what? We have another surprise guest. Shall we bring him in? Can we bring him in, chat? We're going to have a ball. We're having a party. Oh, he's saying no, don't bring me in. Yes, we're bringing you in. Come on in. Hello, Sir Brian.
Hello.
Laura, Brian. You guys know me. I'm Cisco.
Pleasure, Laura.
Hello,
Nice to meet
chat.
you.
Sorry for the mess.
It's
I
okay.
have no available spot, so I'm using my
It's
kitchen
okay.
at this point.
We had a malfunction with we had technical difficulties with tarot and energy tonight. So I sent friends out an invite and said, jump in. We are talking about fragmented souls and reincarnation. Got any words on that, Sir Bry?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Where to begin?
Right?
I
Have
think
you
there's a-
heard about this fragmented soul thing? And what do you think about it? Like souls that say, for instance, we were just talking about like a couple of cases where someone is haunting a house intelligently,
Right.
not residual, yet they've also moved on, and on the other side they left a piece behind. Okay.
So they moved to the other side, but they kind of came back. That's what you're saying?
Well, I think they broke off somehow. Okay, the example being the famous case here in Asbury Park, New Jersey. The guy beat the guy to death with a hammer in an old antique store.
Right.
There's obviously an entity in the basement that jumps in, takes possession of people, pushes on their cracks, right?
Right.
Caused this guy to break down and lose his mind and beat the heck out of the guy with a hammer and kill him. Well, people are seeing this guy interacting as a ghost intelligent would, EVPs, answering things, stuff like that.
Right.
Yet he's locked up in jail alive over in Rikers.
So the guy that is locked up in jail somehow has a ghost that came back and connected with somebody and beat somebody over the head with a pipe or something.
No.
It was.
All right. Demon
Sorry,
in the... It's okay. Demon in the cellar. Ancient. Been there a long time. Before
Right.
it was a cellar.
Okay.
Homeless guy moves in, gets a job. Nice antique guy gives him the job. Nice antique guy is in the cellar with him one day. The guy cracks loose out of his own mind, very much like an Amityville Horror, and
Right.
just beats the guy to death with a hammer. Can't remember doing it. Winds up in jail. Now he's got a ghost haunting the restaurant in Asbury Park, but he's alive in prison. What is that?
I don't think it's much. I don't think it's fragment. I think what you have there is, if you're talking about a demon in that case, then you have
Oh.
the demon doing a demon thing. But I
I didn't think of that. That's
I didn't
right.
either. Could
Yeah.
be pretending to look like
yeah,
him.
yeah.
a
Could
demon
be.
is and someone who is, and this is not for everybody homeless, but someone who is homeless is very wide open because there's an emotional loss there that they're not whole because they don't have a home base to be in a certain spot, and mentally I don't think they're there completely in general. So when you give them something, they're going to be open to anything that comes their way because they're in a desperation mode. Desperation is very key to this whole thing, whether they exhibit it or not. But there, I can see individuals not really like going up to the, going to the light and then, partially. You either go or you don't.
Okay.
But what I can see is, because this is, I'm living with someone who is exhibiting something similar to that. When you get reincarnated, okay, now what's supposed to take place, and I'm not, I don't know for sure. I haven't been.
We're all
there,
just
that I'm aware of.
spitballing. We're just
Right.
spitballing, man.
But when you get reincarnated and you choose to come back down to this plane, what's supposed to happen is everything that we're made aware of and you're open to up in the ether, the good light there, all that knowledge, the direct access to the Akasha record and all that stuff, that needs to get taken wiped from you. You can't go in there. And some people come here so quickly that they forget that process. That's why you have people that I think part of the abilities that certain people and individuals have, and that's, it could be everybody here, where you get some psychic abilities from, but you could also pick up on past reincarnations. And just because you're nice the next 3 doesn't mean you were a sweetheart in,
Right.
the 15 before. You
Right.
could have been Jack the Ripper for all they know.
Right.
And you learned your lesson. You go through the process, because it is a process. As you know, being in the Hoover House, when people pass, they're not necessarily with their own family. They're with individuals, especially early on, that can, teach them and give them that guidance to move to the next level. And then, eventually you'll get up to where you can choose to stay or be reborn, come back and visit again. So I think sometimes you take pieces of that. But as far as the antique shop too, it may not have been a demon in there. Maybe there was some spirit haunted something, like really bad haunting. Type of stuff. I mean, I've heard
Could
of.
be.
Yeah, we did Ocean State up in Rhode Island, a conference, and I walked around a video, with like one of those video cameras on a stick, just to interview some of the people. The one question that I always ask when I interview anybody who's been on TV or investigates is, what do you use for protection? And we're not talking about that type of protection. We're talking about protection. And by accident, I had a brand new 4K little mini, GoPro, whatever it is. And I walked in this guy's tent to kind of show everybody what was going on there. And it stopped working. And then the guy tells me it's haunted. And I'm like, oh, well, that explains it. I mean, literally stopped like that.
I mean, there's so many questions. I mean, we didn't even think about that, Laura.
No.
That it could be the demon pretending to be the guy. Now, the mediums I've known that have gone down there said the only energy they're getting is off this one guy. They're not getting this. You know what I mean? I don't know. But that's another one. I've heard it about Lizzie Borden, too, that she's like split almost like in two, but that she's crossed. I don't get it,
Well, I think what you're getting is, I think what you're talking about is someone who is crossed but leaves that residual energy behind.
Could be.
But it's such an intense, it's almost like you haunt the place or you haunt an object. People
almost
that have
like a poltergeist.
Yeah, kind of
like
that.
A real one, almost like an energy that is put off, and actually so much negative energy that actually grows something that takes on its own life. Yeah.
Like something that's very interesting is that I've been having conversations with individuals regarding certain events that are taking place presently. And I want to get you kicked off, but we're talking about something that people are either wanting to get or are like, no, I don't want that, even though they're making things mandatory. Now, in theory, if you research this stuff and what's supposedly been being given, it's alternating. See, God creates your DNA. God created everyone, and I'm not getting into the he or she or the politicals. Like, God created man in His image, and when I say man, I mean man and woman. So I'm not going to play that game right now. So basically, God created human beings with a certain type of DNA, certain strands. There's good DNA and there's junk DNA. And the junk DNA is there for other things that we have yet to discover, or formally He's altered again so that we don't go that path. That being said, when you pass on, because you are a creation of God or the Lord or the Spirit, whatever you believe in, when you pass on, you get into the light and you go into where you have to be. So you'll get to heaven. Here's the problem. This new thing is what you're taking within your body, no matter if it's being injected or orally when the new product's coming out. It is fundamentally changing your DNA.
Changing the DNA, the God particle.
Right. So it changes your DNA. That's how this process works, and specifically, it's 3 letters, and it has an R in it, but it starts with an M in the beginning. I'm being very vague. But what it does is fundamentally change your DNA, so you now become what's classified as a transhuman. Okay.
Right.
If you fundamentally change your DNA, you are giving the big old F you to God. It's sacrilegious. You are not pure anymore, and you are not whole anymore, and you're going to have an issue when you get to that state of going back to heaven, because, well, this is what the debate is. Would God put up a wall there because you're unpure, or would God, whoever that may be, say, you know what?
Go on intent.
Yeah, we're gonna put you, yeah, exactly, or we're
Yeah.
gonna put you here for a little bit. We're gonna repair you, and then we're gonna send you back.
Yeah.
Because one of the worries that we have now is that the well of souls, that's the reincarnation thing, is drying up, but purposely, because then it gets into if the well of souls
Wow.
is dries up and you can't get reincarnated individuals, including some guy named Jesus, right? Or part of the byproduct is sterilization of this thing, and you can't produce that Messiah, then you don't have an Armageddon, because you don't need it. One side wins automatically.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it's let me tell you something. It's a lot to think about. There's no yes or no answer.
Right.
I'm asking people that are in the clergy in multiple different disciplines. I'm asking people that are very religious, on all different. It's something to worry about, because and I think the intent is very big on this.
I do too, because it is in all the paranormal and supernatural.
Right.
Intent is paramount. Your heart, what's in your heart, and what your intent is, Now, we've often heard, now we know it does work. Trickster stuff works with other things.
Yep.
Trickster stuff works with the jinn. Trickster stuff works with tricksters. But we're constantly being told that we have free will, we have choice. And then we hear most of the time a lot of people say, well, I had no choice. And then we can look at our friends and stuff and say, whatever it may be, it could have been I had no choice to rob the store because I needed prescription medicine for my kid. Well, you had a choice. You made it. So I think intent has a lot to do with it. I think intent has a lot to do. What do you think, Laura? Do you think intent weighs?
So, I mean, I hope so, yes. And I mean, I never even thought of what you just said, and that totally just blew my mind, and I could see that.
Yes.
But also too, like, what if you take that, and like, I won't say it, but what if you take that and that's not your intent to be transhumanism,
right?
Right.
So when you get to the gates, I mean,
well,
are you still okay? Because that's not your intent.
Well, look, I'm not. I have no connection like that. I can't give you an answer.
I don't know either.
This is.
I know. I'm just thinking out loud.
And it's a very big worry. It's a huge worry.
Yeah.
Now, and I agree. I don't think. I think the majority of people have been so beaten and beaten down and scared, so that they're just not able to. If you were going to the court, you're so mentally distraught that even though you actively made that choice, like you said, you made the choice.
Right.
But you never would have if given the proper information, given the no fear, given whatever. So I think, and that was something that I did argue with, like, well, look, we're talking about choices here, and yes, you are responsible, but if you're not given the proper facts to make that proper choice, and you're going by what you want, and it's not. I think
that gives you a ride, though. I really do. I mean, because if you think about it, it like I said, intent has a lot to do with all of the supernatural and the paranormal. I mean, it's down to communicating with the dead. It's down to communicating with your, whether you want to say your higher self or your spirit guides or your angels, and all of that, I believe is true. It has so much to do with it, and I think about it all the time. It's like people changing. Like look at dogs. Think about it. We started off with a wolf, right?
Right.
I mean, have you seen a Chihuahua? I mean, it's a far cry from what we started, but just think about that. What gave that person, the first person, says, I'm going to mix this one with this one and this one and this one and make a dog that I want, a hairless dog or a dog without allergies or a longer back dog with shorter legs. I mean, that's playing God.
Yeah.
Is it not?
No, I don't think through the breeding process you're playing God. It's when you get into the genetic process. Like
There you
these
go.
people, like, because they can splice genes together and they create a man pig or man pig bear. I'm thinking of those South Park fans down there. Great episode, by the way. And that's where you get into a gray area.
Mm-hmm.
And I think purposely that that when you take the genetics and you start playing with it, then you're trying to mock God, and it's terrible.
Yeah, but isn't
shouldn't
that
do
what
that.
spiritual warfare is kind of all about, though? I mean, spiritual warfare and anything. We've been in this for eons, since the beginning, before we
Right.
ever were. So it's all, I mean, is it like, at this point, it's like all bets are off the table, we're doing everything. We're just doing everything. And it's coming, because people are actually into the whole, where they're walking and they're heads down shuffling with the cell phones, and they're I mean, it's kind of like we're getting into that, something has to happen to lift your head up and start paying attention and start being accountable for you and the people around you, and
Right.
and bring it on. So I said community, like here in the chat, and stuff. Todd, I'm sorry, if I'm not putting down like dogma or anything like that. I'm saying, if we are DNA, our DNA obviously means something, okay?
Yes.
Our makeup means something. Our soul means something, and we are in control of that. Like whether you talk about soul reapers or soul collectors, we've talked about that on the show too. These are beings that are actually taking it from you against your will.
Right.
And we said that can happen. So why wouldn't there possibly be an evil out there that's gained some kind of control, and got their tentacles in something that could actually do something behind our backs without us really knowing, and a slow
Right.
boiling of a frog? This is all very possible, It's all possible.
In this day and age, I think anything's possible. I'm a very spiritual human being. I'm actually an ordained minister. I love the Lord, and I'm saying God as what some people call him spirit. I have no problems with some of the individuals that go along with that.
Yeah.
With Jesus but these are questions, and it has nothing to do with your, I don't want to get into dogma. I'm not disrespecting anybody. I would never disrespect
Right.
God. I've actually had conversations. I'm yelling and cursing God.
Me too.
For certain things that take place.
Me
And
too.
I'll give you a great example. I was flying down into Manhattan, New York to go meet with a client with my partner. And I got a spot on the same street. Rare, very rare. I didn't have to put it in a lot. I went forward, backwards, forwards, pop. My brakes went to the floorboard. I blew my brake line. And I don't have the cash for all these things. And great meeting, we came out, and I'm like, why'd you do this? I don't have the money for this. How am I going to do this,
Right.
and that? And then I stopped, and I'm like, I was flying down a big hill on 96th Street, and I could have killed people. They could have went then. And I said, I got it. You
Yeah.
let it happen when I was in the spot. And I
Right.
said, I know I'm bad, but forgive me, Lord. And I got it. And
Yeah.
that's all you need, is that one epiphany to get it. Now, look, we are all in the same playing field right now with what's going on between what's traveling through the world, what they're trying to give, what the people that aren't trying to give. And I think there is a lot to do with those evil spirits that have control over individuals and are doing that purposely to get what they want out of it. If it was Satanists, I would think bringing Satan back.
Right.
But we
right.
don't know what the evil is at this
And
point.
it's like the Soul Collector, like I
Yep.
said. The one I wrote in the book that's coming. You'll meet that thing in part 6. But the thing is the reason I brought it in is to experiment with this whole idea of how could it get. We just have Bill Bean on. Okay.
Yeah.
And, I told him, I said, I want you to let people know that it's not always you have to give it permission to invite it in. There's other ways you can invite it in. And as far as the soul collector, I think it's just basically a systematic, slow breaking down until it feels like it earned the soul.
Okay, so soul collectors.
I think.
There are a ton of these. You were talking about it when with Steve, and I kind of put on my thing afterwards because I was putting my little one to bed, and when that thing came out of the body, what I thought that is one of those. I call them all shadow people, be it Hat Man or whatever. It's like Monsters Inc. If you saw Monsters Inc., when they scare the child, it fills the energy up. They eat your energy. They need that fear to exist, and that's why you're paralyzed. And some people can't get out of the paralyzation, and then the entity goes into you. I mean, like it digs in like a tick, gets all that like fear, energizes, then it pulls right out, and you're just left there.
Right.
Like, are you gonna call me next time? It's a bad situation.
Right.
That's what soul reavers. They want your soul part of it. Souls have value. If we have learned anything, they have value.
Yeah.
To make a deal with the devil, you got to give up your soul. To deal with soul reavers, you got to get rid of the soul. There's a value because I think, and this is just my opinion, there is a limited quantities of souls. They don't just make them over. God just can't make them. He has X amount to play with. And I think it's like he who dies with the most toys wins. He who has the most souls wins. And like I said before, if you have fewer souls, if you start off with a billion, and then after 100 million years, you're at 1 million, and then you're at 900,000, because another angle got to it, be it Soul Reaper, be it whatever other entities that exist, be it Satan. You're just not going to be able to replenish it, and then eventually someone's going to have more souls than others.
Right.
So
hopefully we all leave with the one we started with. And Danny Chow says, why else do you think aliens keep abducting us? We've got the premium DNA. You know
Danny's
what?
on point.
Yeah,
yep.
on point. I believe that as well. And there was another comment in here about how they believe that like the other side. Oh, okay, here it is. It was Danny Chow. Okay, Danny Cho here. It said that I think heaven is less of a spiritual paradise and more like an interdimensional Times Square. What do you think it's like, Laura? Do you think it's individual? Do you think we can create our own, like in Contact or in, the 5 people you meet in heaven, where you really like being, like, say, at a carnival, so you're always there, and then you can move on to the next thing?
I don't know. I always kind of had in my head that it's kind of just one big happy place, and all your past loved ones are there, and then I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
But and to go back to what you were saying about like the soul collection and stuff, and how it can get into you even if you're not like inviting it in. It makes me think of, I was listening to something a long time ago, I think when you were talking to Steve about your vibration, and I remember you saying about you singing Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog song.
Right.
And keeping your vibration high. And I remember I was actually out like doing like, not really investigation type stuff, but I was out messing around and stuff in the woods, at a haunted area. And I was getting creeped out because I was hearing stuff in the woods, and I'd stand there and I'd be quiet and nothing would happen, and then I'd start talking to the person I was with, and then it
would start up.
Yes. And I'm like, I'm getting terrified, and the other person I'm with is like off in the woods looking at stuff. I'm like, dude, I'm standing right here, and I just sang that song in my head over and over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I felt better.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree, and I also agree with this. From what I've heard from the other side too, we never stop working. We have jobs in heaven. I absolutely believe that. I believe we go and we teach others what we learned here, and we all have the little jobs. And I do believe it's like you said, Laura. You meet other people. I learned a lot. I always say my mother's my best teacher in life and in death, because I learned so much from her. I had her such a short time here on Earth. Like, she died when I was basically I stopped seeing her when I was 11. She was in the hospital, never came out. So by the time I was 12, I was an orphan.
I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, that was rough, man. I can't. I would wish that on anybody, because basically, I had nobody then. But you think that, once you move past the grief, and we went through so many different things. I even went to write all the thoughts to her in a letter, let her go. Basically writing let her go. And then I went outside and I had a little ceremony and I burned it, because Native Americans, we send everything in smoke, Yep. And, when I first was seeing her, when I was younger, right after her death, first few years, she still had her earthly burdens. She still had, whole thing is much better in the book, I promise you. And, I'm thinking, when she first showed up, she was sitting on my bed with her hand on my hand, and I just literally saw her hand and just followed it up. And when I saw her, I was like, Mom! And she was gone. And I don't mean twinkled at, I mean gone.
Yep.
There was things involved with the cat, who was always purring when she showed up. I learned through years of thinking about this open-mindedly that it wasn't what startled you awake, and I realized it was the pain. It was the pain. I'm an empath. I'm picking up on all the pain she had dying of cancer. I woke up from the pain before I woke up from anything else. And there she was. She might be sitting on the bed or sitting in the chair across the room or standing in the corner in the hospital gown, still had the white thing on her, on her. And I could feel her pain. Well, we went through all these things, much like Brian said too. I went through my cursing of God, and I heard my first outside my ear voice, which is different than what I hear inside when people that have crossed over higher beings, I always get them in here. But this was outside my ear, and a voice I've heard throughout my life several times that always recognize it. And it said, "Who are you talking to then?" That's all it said. Because I'm yelling at God. I'm cursing him. So then later I see my mom. I don't know when she crossed, but she must had. Because later I saw her and she came to me all better. She's beautiful. Her hair's done. She's got makeup on. Looked like she was going to the office or going, like on her day, And I could smell her. Now I smelled her. I smelled her perfume. And the way her coat smelled when she'd walk in from a cold night, and I'd hug her, after she came home at night, that kind of stuff. But she also taught, so to me, it was after you cross, you come back, you lose all that. She was my first person to really teach me that, I started looking into it. I'm like, hey, we're onto something here. And then she starts with the communication through these wonderful mediums and wonderful people I've met along the way, who was really starting to give me like a little bit of kind of secreted pieces to the puzzle about the other side. And this one time that I really learned, now this will tell you a lot. I happened to ask her about third time in, we're really having good communication. And at this point, I'm not asking questions. I said, now, what do you want to tell me? Because I know my mom's going to show up and she's not done, And the medium comes through and she starts telling me stuff. I mean, deep, deep stuff, Like you can't do, as a mom, you have to let these people do their journey. You take your hat off. You might have the answers. They have to live it for their journey kind of thing. And it's hard to watch it, all this other stuff. And I said, hold on a minute. Let me ask you about Dad. I said to the medium, I said, she said, my mom's right there. She hears me. I said, what about Dad? I said, with all the horrors that man did, how's he doing over there? Because I know I'm the only one that's probably praying for him, the only one that's going to forgive him, and only one that's not damning him to hell. So I just want to know, how's he doing? She says, hang on, I'll go. This is what my mom says to the medium. She says, hang on a minute, I'll go down and get him. And I'm like, oh, hell, don't go down there. No, it's okay. You don't have to go get him. And the medium starts laughing. She says, your mom's laughing. She goes, hang on, she's got him by the collar. She's pulling him up. And I'm like, oh, my God, my mom just went into hell and retrieved my father.
Nah.
This is what's going on in my head. No, She explains to me he's just on a lower
Plane. Yep. It's like what is it?
That's a lot of teaching.
Dante, you know, and the
Yeah.
the different layers of heaven and hell. There's multiple layers, and you when you get there, it's like the sorting
They
hat,
sort
you know,
you,
like
yeah.
Slytherin, you know, like that. But they put they look at you as a whole. You review your life, and then you see where you make your mistakes, and then they say, you know, like someone who has never done anything wrong, never killed anything, is like you're going to the penthouse floor, okay? But they're very few and far in between. So when you get there, they judge you, and they're like, okay, you really messed up. So what you're going to do is you're going to be here at the bottom, and you're going to learn your lesson.
Yeah.
And then I think you do get a choice.
Right.
Like, look, you can reincarnate and try to rectify that, but if you don't, it's going to be double duty. So you could stay here until you feel you're ready to, I guess, maybe be tested or challenged
Heal,
to move
go
up.
through it, learn your lesson, go through all the
Right.
stuff, because they say you have to go through and feel the pain that you caused.
Right.
So, I mean, that's why I'm thinking about my dad, thinking, oh God, the pain that he caused. Oh my God, the children and the wives and the suffering.
That's different.
You know.
It's unless
Well, other stuff too, but
look, there's plenty of people
real
that
stuff.
are good people, good.
Yeah.
God-fearing people that have been forced into positions to, like, for example, World War I and World War II, kill people they didn't really want to kill, but it was, good versus evil.
Or your
for the most part.
family.
Right.
So much of that's gone through the thing. We're so quick to judge people, but you know what I mean? We are human beings that, my boss said something. I love this too, when his granny is around, Paradox smells coffee.
Awesome.
Absolutely lots of that. The thing
smells
about my
cigars.
mom and my dad was, here's another lesson real quick. We had a good laugh then, and I felt bad about my dad because I'm thinking, is my dad, his energy's really standing here. I'm his youngest. Well, I'm sure there's more, but that we know of anyway. My dad was like Genghis Khan. He liked to spread his seed everywhere. But, oof. And he looked like Robert Mitchum, so it wasn't hard. So anyway, I'm just saying, he really did. He looked a lot like Robert Mitchum. So look that one up for all you youngers. Hi, Jilly Doom. How you doing, sweetie? Glad you came in. I'm glad you stayed, Todd. Thank you, honey, for staying, and giving it a chance. Because like I said, we're trying to talk about all different kind of things, trying to sort stuff, because I certainly don't have the answers. I know what I feel is right in my heart, but I could be totally batshit crazy.
Right. And
probably am.
I'm going to circle back for 2 seconds.
Go ahead.
When the permission thing, right?
Okay.
When you get when you go to bed, your intention is to sleep. But
Right.
what you don't realize is that's when you really get opened.
Right.
And you get to connect to the other side. And a lot of people that are gifted, have psychic abilities or whatever, that's where they really open up. And people have dreams that aren't really dreams. If you can wake up and you remember all the details, you didn't have a dream. You experienced it. But here's the thing. These entities, talking about permission, like you could say, get the hell out of my house, but when you're sleeping, you're at a different level, and they know that level, and they can go and invade your dreams and get you permission without you even moving your mouth. Yeah. Because people think it's a dream, and then they have this horrible dream, which is really a reality.
Right. And I think, too, we talk about old wives' tales and stuff like that with Steve all the time, right, Laura? We talk about all that there's a little bit of truth in a lot of these wives' tales. Why do you think you're supposed to pray before you eat or put a blessing? I don't care who your person that you're, whether it's Buddha or Allah or whoever. Most meals are prayed for. You pray over the food because you make it want to do justice to your body, nutrition for your body, take all the negative energy off of it. Same thing. Some cultures sage their food. You pray before you go to sleep. Now I lay me down to sleep.
Yep.
How many cultures pray before they go to sleep? When you sneeze, God bless you. They used to believe that your soul came out just a little bit when you sneeze, so God bless you to go back in.
Well, you also...
Little stuff like that. It's crazy, but it's true.
When you sneeze, medically, I think, and if there's a doctor or nurse here, they may be able to confirm something like this, but I think by sneezing, you actually are in a very weird or bad place medically, and you have a potential to die because of almost like a heart attack or something. It's something
Yeah,
that
it's
takes
like a
place.
shock to your system.
Yeah, so that's why they're like, "Oh, Gesundheit," or "God bless you," or whatever it is.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's really strange, but something that's a wise tale, or what they call a bubba misa, which is that's like spooky,
Yeah.
village talk or whatever.
Yeah,
But
like a Babadook, yeah.
it's in multiple different religions. When someone passes, and if a woman is pregnant, they cannot go anywhere near that cemetery.
Yep.
No matter if it's their mother or their father, because that baby will die. It is such a vulnerable spot that they will, you'll lose the child.
I never heard of that.
Yeah,
That's wild.
It's very weird. And there's also another thing. A lot of people don't do it, but when you go to a cemetery, no matter what cemetery it is, you should wash your hands after. Even
Why is that?
Because you don't want to take. There's a potential to take some of the negativity or the illness or whatever in that cemetery with you home, and you don't want to put it in your mouth or what have you.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just little things, but you know what? Hygiene's not a bad thing these days. Okay?
Yeah, right.
I wash my hands all the time anyways.
Yeah, no. But it's
I gotta tell you, man, this has been a cool conversation. We've gone from reincarnation. It's like basically we're just trying to figure out about the soul. So I want to tell two things because I know I've kept you guys here and you had no warning, and I appreciate you jumping in here, saving my chat. Poor Peter Coe, man, he just got so crazy with the tech. He's just like, I don't know what to do. I gotta go. And I understand, but I said the energy is just crazy, and I said, you know what? We'll talk. I'll talk to my chat. I have a great chat. Very smart, wonderful, positive thinking chat, and that's what we're doing tonight. We're putting out positive stuff, but we're also talking about, we don't want to lean so much. I was like, this is mine and you can't take it. You know what? Say that. And I think we all have different ways of saying that. We have, we'll put up good, positive energy. Sing Jeremiah is a bullfrog. We have our own prayers, our own love light, our own sage. We have, whether you're doing, I love the Buddhists who go through the bell ringing. And so many things just combine in. You got crystal balls over, bowls over here, and you got bell ringing over here. It's all vibration and sound and bringing that vibration, that frequency up. So here's a quick story on that. The same medium who got so close to me, could tell my mom's energy before I got there that I was coming.
Wow.
For just to see her or bump into her somewhere or whatever. That's how in tune she got with my mom's energy. So multiple things we go through. And you remember I said she went down to get my dad and pulled him up. Well, when he came up, I said, can you describe him to me? She says, well, he's a man. He's wearing a black suit. Tall, she described him to a T, but he's got his head down and he can't speak. And I said, well, he can't speak? She goes, no, he doesn't have the energy. He's like in this sloughing. I'm telling you right now, go watch Soul. I'm not real big on Disney right now. I don't want to talk about it, but the movie Soul is absolutely fantastic, and I think there's one of them that's kind of got it right. It's real cutesy the way they did it, but they got the whole, the caught in depression and doldrums and lower vibrational being kind of stuff going down. Well, that's what he was doing. So I thought to myself, my mom kind of scolded me because she wanted to talk about something else. She didn't want to talk about him anymore. And I said, well, wait. I said, I want to help him. Nobody else is going to help him. He is my father, I mean, he wasn't my dad, but he was my father. So you know what I'm coming from. So I said, what can I do to help him? And my mother says, don't you worry about him. I'll help him. I want to talk about my grandson. I'm like, okay. But so I left it at that, and then I thought on my own, what if I just send him happy thoughts and energy? Because I do that to get past grief. I don't, like if their song comes on, I don't sit there and go, oh my God, that was, it's easy to get into that. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying for me, I couldn't do that. I had to go, remember when we were dancing, we were rolling down the road, we were laughing, and I laughed, and it lifts me, and I think it lifts them. So here's the experiment. I did it for my dad. I did it for a year. And I went back and I saw her again. No intention to ask her about it. Forgot all about it. And my mom comes through and she brings somebody else that I had to hear from. And then she says, wait, there's a man here. And I said, oh, can you describe it? She goes, I think it's he's kind of removed. She didn't recognize the energy. And my mom didn't usher him in. He just showed up. And I said, describe him. He's wearing an army uniform. Oh, okay, hold on. Well, that could be a couple. She's describing. She goes, wait a minute. She says, he's been here before. He says, thank you. Thank you. I said, for what? What's going on? She goes, hold on. This is your father. I said, wait a minute. He spoke thank you? She said, yes. He's just looking at it. He says, I'm sorry I wouldn't have been a good role model for your sons, but thank you for sending me the energy. And he's working on getting through.
Yep.
What? Now he's proud enough to put the uniform back on, one. He's got his head up. Yeah. And now he can speak. Mind-blowing.
Well, you mentioned Disney, okay? Now, one movie I thought was one of theirs, and I'm also have issues with Disney. You probably know them too. Mm-hmm. But one of the issues there, this movie, what you just described, there's a movie Coco.
Okay, yes,
it's about
good
the
one.
Day of the Dead. But you just described the same thing.
Yeah.
If there is not in their belief system, if you do not have a picture of that person, and if somebody light a candle or wish them well,
they go away.
They fade away into
wow.
ether. So you literally, it's no longer Coco, it's Cisco.
How cool. But you know what? He can talk now, and I believe he's coming around and helping his grandsons, because I said, that's it. I'm doing this, because it's the right thing to do, because I don't want this crap on me. I don't, because you the old saying, hating someone is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Right.
So we've got to get this off now. And think about my friend who is the voodoo practitioner, who is very deep into voodoo and things like this, who did all kinds of crazy things to try to keep her husband from because she didn't want to go through it again. Right. He had chopped off her foot with an axe, and they had gone through many lifetimes together. And she says, I'm done with him. I'm not doing this again. So she put something on him. Anyway, she put him in a beer bottle and threw him at the bottom of the lake. None of my business.
Yeah.
That's
away.
Between the two of you. But anyway, this is what happened, and I'm thinking, why don't we just get it right this time? Why don't we just be nicer to each other? I can't do nothing about the jerk I work with. I can't change her mind. I can be there if she ever smartens up, but I can't change her. All I can do is create my own little bubble and just work. Everybody's got that. Everybody's got a bully in school or a jerk, I mean, you got to handle it accordingly, of course. But, is there anything I can do about this? Or the old thing is, does this need to be said? Does this need to be said right now? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it could be being worked by a demon in a spiritual warfare to screw up your day or knock you off so you don't go do that good deed later. Don't let it ruin your energy, your square foot of real estate, your mind, your intent,
I'll give you a great example of this. So about a year ago, I got a new car. So we're keeping it nice, and, we don't want to have any, no smoking in the car. And I'm driving out to get, on a Sunday, I believe it was, to get some food for everybody from the house. And I don't know, depending on the neighborhood where I was in, if something kicked up from the road, was thrown out of a car, or someone was shooting at me, because that could very well be the case.
Yeah. He lives in New York.
Well, it's really weird. I have this big crack in my windshield, and it's about $50 size, a little bit smaller than $50. But what I noticed, that I was getting upset. I'm like, it's a new car. If you go through insurance, even though you have glass coverage, is it part of the does it count against you on a strike or whatever? And I kept saying, it looks like the Star of Bethlehem. Because it did. It looked like the Star of Bethlehem depicted.
Right.
So I said, after a while, I'm thinking, trying to figure out what I do. I said, you know what? I'm not going to let this bother me anymore.
Good.
I went out and got my stuff. I was coming back, and I said, I haven't done this in a while. I said, you know what? I'm going to go play some scratch offs. Maybe I'll win the money to replace the window.
Mm-hmm.
And I go in, I buy 2 scratch offs, win $100.
Nice.
So it's all in, again, the intent. Do you
Right.
succumb to that negativity
Yeah.
and that bad situation, or do you like
Almost called
rise
in a
above it?
positivity. Almost called in a positivity.
Yeah.
Like if we can flip that, right?
Yep.
So I mean, I think a lot of that negative, that's the only thing that can beat it is the positive. Because I mean, look at my dad. I mean, if you ask anybody in my, I'm sorry, Dad, but it's true. So you owe me big time. So the thing is he's got a chance. Maybe he came to learn the things that, you know what I mean? I look at so many. Patton's another one. Patton is absolutely amazing. I absolutely love Patton, But if you look at some of his memoirs and some of the things he wrote, he absolutely believed he was reincarnated multiple times as a warrior, a soldier.
Right.
And so many things. I know people now, a very famous medium, I won't say his name, he stays very high up in the high vibration where he doesn't even want to talk about anything negative. He's up here all the time. He's just really, really great.
Exhausting.
It is.
Yeah,
But he's right here
exactly.
the whole time. And, but he was reincarnated from a general who had to kill multiple people to win the war. And he didn't want to do it. He was reluctant. And this is his past life regression he had. And he didn't know till later on in life, and he found this out. And he says that explains why he's so intent on helping people now and staying up here, because he went through such a trauma, going through all the pain he caused, and the pain he caused the loved ones of the pain he caused, on and on and on, that this was his chance, and this time he has to stay up here.
Yep.
It makes perfect sense to me.
Yep.
Perfect sense to me.
You have to rise up to that level. If you keep
Right.
you keep staying in this area, you're never going to do anything. You're never going to go anyplace. But if you go up to this area, you change. It's very interesting. You mentioned Patton, and you mentioned his reincarnations. And I'm just going to throw this out there for some people, because there's been a lot of talk about that. The following. But 7 days after Patton died, a gentleman was born who became the 45th president of the United States.
That whole thing is so wacky, man. I've listened to it, but I'm like, oh man, I don't know.
If you look, there's a tad bit of similarity there. If you really look, they do the more photos. But what's very interesting is if you look at the number of days after someone dies, the week after. And 7 is a number that is used for, I think, in reincarnation, as well as, that's what happens. I don't think I want to come back on this planet again. I'm done.
I think you can reincarnate. Yeah, I think you can reincarnate to other places. I mean, why wouldn't you? I had many mediums come and say, one of the best things, and then we'll close up, because you guys have been just so gracious with your time. I appreciate you coming and bailing me out tonight and being here for the chat. But the whole thing with anybody that's been reincarnated, like you said, with Patton, through a glass darkly. Read that poem he wrote; is amazing. If you did have to do something like that, and you had got a chance to come back, we wonder about time. How much time in between? I don't think time is the same for them. Time seems to be like a blink in the eye. To us, we're the ones that are droning out. We drag everything out. I've never seen a race, and I mean the human race when I say that waste time. Do you ever notice that? It's like I gotta wait in line. I'm standing here for the next 20 minutes on hold, or I'm waiting in this line, or I'm here. We're always rushing to get to the next thing instead of enjoying what we're going through. And I think that's part of what the problem is. It's like Brian had a broken windshield. He chose to look at it in a positive way. Maybe not positive, he broke the windshield, but maybe we'll do this. And he gave the universe a chance to help him. Those keys you can't find, and you're losing it because you're going to be late to work, and then you found out it kept you from being in the accident down the road. Or little things like that. I mean, it's absolutely nuts. But I did hear from a lovely lady that I hope will come on the show soon. It's hard because she's in the UK, so it's this time is like 4 a.m. to her or some craziness.
Yeah,
but so it's hard, but we're trying anyway. She told me one of the best things she heard from a soul group that came through to help this other person that was very suicidal. And their whole point of coming back here was to get past that this time because they never made it before. They always committed suicide.
Oh my goodness.
So they're trying to get through it this time. And the soul group is coming through the medium to talk to the soul they recognize, you know, and tell them and give them encouragement and say, you can make it through. You've just got to make to the next light. You know, well, I'm so lonely, but you never leave the house. You know, you're lonely, but you have to go to the party and then you'll meet the person. You have to get yourself out. You'll meet, you know, you're closing your doors off again. And those are the mistakes you made in the last. So it was very interesting. But she said that multiple times this type of stuff has happened with her, and she said that when you reincarnate and choose Earth, you're automatically a hero on the other side because this is the hardest planet to reincarnate to. You're automatically a hero. Amen. Because it's so hard here. We're so behind. I mean, as far as evolution, you think we're evolved. We're not. We still kill people here. We still have war. We still get angry at each other. We have a long way to go. But I think if we keep having shows like this and talking about it and talking about different ideas and different, you know, things. I mean, you know, I know more now than I did when I started this show. I mean, I have more things to think about. How about you, Laura? Different things to think about we didn't think about before, right?
Oh my God. I mean, and I've been listening to podcasts for like 2 years now, like the paranormal stuff, and it's like, oh, I'm going to listen to this stuff. It's so interesting, and I'm going to find out why this and why that, and it's like, no, I have a million more questions now.
Yeah, that's the way it works. The bullseye keeps moving. But yes, but see, I think that's the beauty of all this, you know, and why everybody in the chat, you know, is really engaged, and they're all talking about different things, you know. Yeah, I never thought about reincarnating to another planet or another dimension or another thing. But you can also see it when you look at other people and how they live and how they do their lives. You ever have those people, they say that older souls come in and they do so many things because they're so bored quickly, like me. I, you know, make soap, I've made candles, I do crafts, I do jewelry, I do this, I do that, I work on cars, I do so many different things. It's almost like I'm trying to do it. Yeah, but it's an old souls do this. Yep. And old souls sit around and talk about things like this with an open mind and say, everybody's saying hi to you, Mr. Dickens. He's extra, you know, full of himself today because he got some cat grass. And, you know, I just work to keep this cat in catnip and toys. I swear to God. He's got the new fish that you have to plug in. I freaking plugging in cat toys to the wall to charge them up so they'll flip-flop for the 2 minutes he wants to walk down the hall and go, yeah, that's my fish. I'm only going to, you know, claim it when somebody else wants to move it out of the freaking hallway. He's so spoiled. No, yesterday, it's the first day of fall, y'all. Okay, August 1st, he's sitting up on the folded electric blanket on the dresser going, yo, you want to turn this thing on? It's October. Before you go to work, I have a picture. I'll show it tomorrow night of him under the electric blanket. I'm turning it on before I go to work. Is there anything else, you know, before I go? You want some water, you know? A lick of water, maybe? Spoiled rotten. But you know what? I want as many friends before I leave this planet because I want to hug everybody. I want to hug the cats. I want to pet the dogs again. I want to run with the horses. I want to do all of that. So if heaven is what you choose, mine is going to be full of wonderful people like you and a lot of damn cats. And a lot of animals and a lot of birds, and they're all going to just be happy and be together, you know. And if I'm teaching a class, it'll more than likely be how to make sandwiches for woodland creatures.
I love that.
How about you guys?
Oh my God, I love that so much.
You know what? I don't want to come back. I just want my wings back. That's it.
Yeah. I don't want to come back and do it again either. I wonder in how many lives we actually said that, and we were like, yeah, but you're here again. Well, here we go.
It's very interesting.
We lost him.
dropped out.
There it went. Somebody cut him off. Yep. I can't thank you. If he doesn't come back, I want to thank you so much, Laura, for jumping in here. And Laura is going to join me for, oh, here he comes again. Laura is going to join me. I know you'd be back, sweetie. It's okay. Laura's going to join me for part 6, the first half of part 6 of Cabin 22, so we could talk a little bit about the characters, and also for Steve Stockton's October 31st. Now, let me see if I can get the title right. It is the Halloween video call-in costume party and happy birthday surprise happy birthday for Steve Stockton. So we're going to have callers pop in like this and, you know, hide their face and maybe do a this is your life kind of thing. I don't think I can get his 3rd grade teacher, but I think I can get a couple of people to call in and say happy birthday to Steve. And if you want to wear a costume, you can.
Oh no, now she's
We're going to do that for tomorrow night. We are doing Bigfoot, Anon, Connor, and Steve Stockton and I are coming on talking about Bigfoot, portals, time slips, and dimensions tomorrow night. And then we're doing part 5 of Cabin 22. So since you're both here, and I know, Laura, you've read a little bit of Cabin 22, and Brian, you've read it all. What is your favorite character and why? I'd love to hear from you, Laura. Tell us that, because I'm checking because I want to see if subtle little things I put in there are being picked up. It's my first book, and I don't know how it, you know.
Oh my God! Well, it's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I listened to almost all of it. Like I told you, I think I have like maybe an hour left, but you said like,
and
wait.
You're gonna just wait. And we're gonna finish it together. Yeah.
I do want to re-listen to all of it because it's hard to. When you have it on and then the chat's going and I'm like falling asleep, it's hard to pay attention to both. I don't know. I mean, I love Rage, of course, because I'm obsessed with dogs. But I like, oh my gosh, what's the one? He's a little
slow, Tater.
Yeah, I was afraid to say that.
Yeah,
but
yeah. We just call it what they call it in the South. He's a little slow. He's just a little slow. He's smart, you know. I mean, and he thinks about things out loud. You wonder how he got that way. I think he had a great family, a great dad. He always talks about, you know. And he's up there on that mountain, kind of knows it real well. But he's also real susceptible to ill-minded people that could kind of mold him the way that they wanted him to act and stuff and things to do, like Skeet and Jeb, you know. He was easy for them to mold and tell him things, you know, like, you know, they don't have your best interest in mind, but we do, you know, that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So I think people really are liking Rage and Tater. How about you, Bri?
Well, I like, you know, Rage is a given, but what I like is not necessarily one character, but it's the dynamic of the good old boys inside the cave doing the ill. You know, I love that dynamic because I know people like that.
Yes,
and it's just like, oh my God, she's gotten this guy, and you know. So I know that Southern local yokel type of, you know, like, well, you know, they're gonna fix it or they're gonna do something, and that fighting because one's smarter than the other.
Yeah.
But one's like stronger than the other. It's a great dynamic.
Thank you.
I love the story from the beginning, and you know, and when I you know threw some things your way that you had questions about.
So cool.
I was just like, it's awesome when you describe something, and then you hear it in a different. You know, it just puts a smile on my face, like, you know, especially when I was sharing that with everybody, and they're like, wow, this is good, and you know, they had that werewolf in there, the Rougarou, and I'm like, yeah, I know. You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of, you know, it was like, it's weird. It's like, you just do it and you don't think about it as much. But I had one of those moments and someone contacted me out of the blue, like, I was at work, I was doing my work, I had Discovery Plus on. Holy crap, you were on TV. And I'm like, yeah, you know. Yeah. Oh my God, I didn't know you were gonna be. I'm like, I didn't shout it out to the public.
It's a trip.
It's just there. But it's always great when you see, you know, you have a connection there, and I love that dynamic because I knew that connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, when they're all going in the cave, and
Oh my-
I'm trying to describe that the cave is all hunched down, and there's big guys, and they can't get through. So it was like I thought I said something. It was like some odd bunny hop, dance,
Yeah.
the closing of the bar or something, because they were all just kind of moving. Every time they got a little room, they'd move a little further and pass back the information and
Yep.
the extinguishers and stuff like that. And old Skeet, Jackie says she's gonna miss old Skeet. I don't know why Skeet was just inherently evil like he was. He got so off, and the whole thing with him and the rats, he really got off on having something he was good at, that Widowmaker he made with a whomp,
Well,
and,
that was the cool
and
part. It was
shooting
like,
all rats, yeah. But it was
I
that
know
Moby Dick thing he had going on.
I had that.
The rat one.
Yeah, I knew a guy that was, like kind of like that
The rat
character,
catcher.
and they were always trying to figure out how to build a better mousetrap,
Yeah.
And after a while, they just took out a 22. But it's,
Yeah.
totally different.
Bing, 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 all around the cave. Bing,
Yeah,
bing, bing,
exactly.
bing, 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 all around the cave. Yeah, I mean, you got to kind of think about all that stuff, too. And I'm sitting there looking up, okay, well, what could, how could they get the exhaust out? I mean, there's all that stuff when you write a book, that's why we're listening to it again, too, because people in the chat are letting me know if I messed up and put something here and there. We hadn't found anything too big yet. I've got a couple things where I doubled it and I didn't mean to, but I've tried to fix what I could with the editing. But then it'll all be out in the book, and then you can hold it and read it like a real, fiction novel. It'd be great. So
Well, that's a good story to
appreciate-
read to people. Like if you have kids that are old enough where you can kind of give a little
Yeah.
spooky story. But
Yeah.
just give them like a chapter and a chapter,
a
and
chapter.
just get them to read it. But I think
Yeah.
it's fantastic. I can't wait
Thank
till the
you.
book
Oh my-
comes out.
Thank you.
It's just, it's so, I can't even, oh my God, it's so good though. Like
Thank you.
can just, your story just takes you there. You can,
That's
like,
what I wanted to
picture
do.
it, and it's like, you can almost feel like the cold, chill air
Yep.
and the Halloween night. And it's like, it's amazing.
Thank
Yep.
you. I hope the next chapters, we got about 5, almost 6 hours left to go. So, the next ones will be like a 2-hour. I'm trying to keep it, I don't know if people are working the next day or whatever, but it's there. And if you can't finish it, you can finish it, the next day or whatever. But it's been such a delight listening to all, with everybody. And, Halloween coming is putting us in the mood for Halloween. We got the big bash for, it's October. Let's celebrate what we like, There's so much in this paranormal, supernatural thing. I'm really hoping everybody gets the fact about dark to light in the book.
Yep.
Roseworthy picked it up and said the ebb and flow from good to bad, until finally it just balls up and everybody meets in the, at the end. So it's, it's great, and I hope we get something from it too. That I think everybody's being drawn together in groups right now in the real world, and dark to light again. Here we go. So that book definitely gives the hope. We've got the power within us. We got the light. Don't let anybody put out your light, guys. I can't thank you so much for coming in tonight. We meant to talk about reincarnation and souls and energy, and we did just that. So wherever you are, Peter, we love you. We miss you, and I'm sorry you couldn't be on tonight, and I'm sorry that happened to the chat and everything, but look what we got tonight. This was fabulous. Laura, thank you so much. The new podcast is Midnight in the Mountains. Send her your ghost stories. I hope I'm going to be on. I volunteer. Brian, I guarantee you'll be on. He's got stories for days.
Yeah, I'd love to have you too if you'd like to come on.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Anytime you want, just
Cool. Thank
We
you.
can do
just
a
give her
duo.
my digits. I'm still in prison on Facebook right now.
Absolutely.
I don't do Facebook. I got rid
No.
of that, but I have Facebook Messenger.
There
Yeah,
you
just,
go.
Instagram,
just
that's
connect
it.
through that, and then we'll connect through that.
There you
And then
go.
it'll
I'll
be
set
easier.
you all
I'm-
up in a group.
I'm
You
in
can talk.
jail.
You guys can talk, and it's been fantastic. Thank you guys in the chat for being so patient. Thank you to all the wonderful mods, Jackie, Pseudonym, everybody out there, Patriot. I love you all. Jilly, hello, how you doing? I'm so glad you popped in here. So tomorrow night again, Steve Stockton, Bigfoot Anon, Bigfoots and whatever else pops up, and then part 5 of Cabin 22. I love you all so much. Brian Bowden, Nobo Boomy, and Inside the Goblin Universe.
That's it.
Okay, and any books coming? You got some more books coming out, or?
I'm working on a couple.
There
good
you
ones.
go. He's
Yeah.
got some good ones coming. So thank you guys so much. We're going to do our little outro here. Chat, thank you so much for being here and being so engaged and all that. Fragmented Souls. I'm not 100% on what they are, but by golly, I hope I don't have one. How about you? I want to hang on to every piece of
Absolutely
mine.
not.
I'm hanging on to every... There's my intent, and I'm putting it down right now. It belongs to me. Love you all. Good night, everybody. Maybe good night. Maybe an outro. And here we go.